Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Make sure I am live. Y'all know I'm a one woman show. I am a one woman show, so I have to make sure I'm live, that the sounds are good, and that we are coming in strong. Good morning, and welcome to another segment of my series, Getting to Self Actualization. I am Yashika Foster. If this is your first time here, hello and welcome. Okay, and listen, show your girl some love. Go ahead and maybe consider subscribing. Share this video out to someone who you think might benefit from it. Maybe leave a comment, follow me, or subscribe, depending on what platform you are viewing this video. Because, honey, I repurpose everything. I repurpose everything, so you might see the same thing on many platforms. Why? Because people are all over. Nobody stays on one platform, so I got to make sure I connect to the people on all platforms, honey. So that's just that. But today we are talking about burnout. Burnout. Burnout in order to go from burnout to breakthrough. And it's just a shame that sometimes that's the realization for so many people. And what's crazy is, I was going to actually say that when we talk about burnout, one of the things that we don't talk about is that we tend to make high functioning normalized, right? And then I was going to talk about how it looks from a woman's perspective, because I'm a woman, so whatever I talk about is going to be from a woman's perspective, right? But then I thought about it. I said, well, I know what burnout looks like from a man's perspective as well. I have a personal relative of mine that was literally running three businesses at one time and doing other, just trying to keep everything afloat. And they ended up in the hospital diagnosed with Crohn's, right? And it was one of those things where they had no choice but to go to the hospital because they were on their knees, okay? And so when I think about that, and when I looked at what happens when a person is diagnosed with that and some of the symptoms, and then I looked at who typically is said to get that particular disease. And the person who I knew that got it, and then I knew somebody else who also has it, they didn't fit the profile. And so, but what I found that was really interesting about it is that it's literally called from high functioning stress, like doing too much, not being able to rest your mind, not being able to take a break, right? And so a lot of people think that when you get to burnout, that it looks like you're broken down, right? It looks like you just, okay, I'm just broke. Listen, we can get to burnout before it even looks like that, because we'll start doing things and we're not even realizing that we're doing it. We're going through the motion of things. We're just numb, right? We're numb. We look up and you be like, I don't even remember. And when I think about the things that I've been through in life, or the multi hats that I had to wear, or just the life that I led, especially when I was in the military. Um, I served in the military for 25 years, the Army specifically. And while I was in, I had stressful jobs, right? I won't say they the most stressful, but they definitely demanded a lot of my time. At one point I was a drill sergeant, then I became an officer after that. So it was one of those things where now I'm a platoon leader, then a company commander. So your a lot of your time is required. And then because of who I was specifically, right? If you know, it was one of those things where I had to go a little bit beyond, above and beyond, right? And so I say this because at this same time that I was going through that, I'm in the military. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm also in college. Oh yeah, by the way, I also am a mom. I'm also a wife. I'm also a daughter. Because I got my family, and so I'm also all these other things. And now when my older son talks to me about things that happened when he was a kid, I can't remember some of the stories. Like he'll say, "Mama, you know." And the thing about it is that I remember so much when it comes to like I have stories for days. Anybody that's listened to me or who has had a conversation with me, or even you'll notice in this segment here in this series, I don't have a problem with sharing stories or talking, because when it comes to my life and things like that, there's a lot of things that I remember because I understand how everything is connected. And so, because I understand how everything is connected, right, then I have to be able to maintain. Okay, so I remember when I've been through this before, right? Because that's part of resiliency, that's part of self actualization, right? Understanding how the dots are connected for you to be able to see forward, right? Because if you don't understand how the dots connected backwards, you're not going to be able to move forward when you see these things again, because you'll allow them to make you fall back. Well, not to go down that rabbit hole, but my son tells me I don't remember certain things, and I don't. And I'm just like, I don't understand why I don't remember, but I do know that I was probably burnt out. And it's no probably, I was. Because there was a part where I remember my hair was falling out. And anybody that knew me knows that I've always had really thick hair, and it was coming out in hunks and chunks. And I had no idea because I thought that I was maintaining, right? But the body will tell you when you're burnt out, even when you think that you're not, even when you think that you're moving forward, right? I remember having acne real bad, the bottom up under my chin, right? Because it was hormonal as well. Because at this point, I was in my mid 30s, right? And so, but I just remember my weight. I could never get my weight under control no matter how much I ran. It just seemed like everything was just going on a lot of times, right? I was at the duty station for first time as an officer. So there was a lot of things I was dealing with. And what I recognized is that I was burnt out because I went from one job to another job to another job, still trying to maintain all the things in between, right? And so that's why when I said, when we're talking about too many high functioning women normalize it, like I said, I was going to talk about it from a woman's perspective, but I also know that men does it as well, right? And they do it when they're juggling many things. When they're juggling many things, they tend to burn out themselves. All right. So anyway, when we talk about burnout, right, and when we talk about what does it look like? I mean, it looks like so many different things. It could be you snapping at people when people are saying things to you. It could look like you having excessive headaches. I mean, like I said about the hair falling out, weight gain, acne, things like that, right? And you have to know that this is not something that we should like lean into, right? We have to figure it out. We have to figure it out to get to the point to say, okay, do I want this for my life? Because remember, in order to get through those stages of hierarchy, right? Those Maslow needs of hierarchy, to get to a place of comfort where you can literally see how everything about your life is connected, right? Where you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel grounded, you feel as if you are definitely walking in the intention that was set for you, or the purpose, some would say, that you were meant for. Because see, everybody has this a purpose in life. Like everybody has something in life that they're supposed to do. A lot of times people get bogged down or burnt out by so many daily responsibilities in life until they're not able to see those things, because now they have to just, they have to work, they have to do this, they have to do that. And it's not until they get to a certain age, maybe retirement age, and in today's economy it's not even retirement age, right? But it just really depends on how you've whatever. So they get to an age where that's where they're like, you know what, listen, and I see it all the time. I see it around me, right? I see people saying, you know what, I've been working my whole life trying to make ends meet, trying to do this, trying to do that, and it just seems like, and so now they're at that age where they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy whatever I want. I'm just gonna buy whatever I want, and because when I'm gone, I'm gone. And so that's how they're living their life, and but it still causes stress because now you have created things for yourself that you really don't know. And so that's still another idea of burnout, and it contributes to burnout. And so when it comes to self-actualization and doing those things prior to you get to that level, how do you do that? How do you recognize those things and understand that, you know what, I might need to, in the army we used to say, take a knee and drink water. You'd be like, you know what, it's like, go ahead and take a knee, just get down on one knee, put the other one up, okay? Take a knee and drink water. Okay, and now when you get it together, now you get on up. And I think that's why I've always had that mindset that, life happens for me, not to me. Because I already know that everything that I'm going through, right? regardless of what it is. I mean, there are some things where we all go through on a daily basis or even in life that it's just like nobody should go through that. But we have to find what's the purpose. We have to find how it's connected. And listen, because you can't control everything. You can't. And so the things that you can't control and they happen and you thought you had control of it, you have to say, okay, what lesson am I getting from this? What am I learning? Right. And so when we think about that, we have to have a clear mind. We have to be able to understand things, process things. When we burnt out, stressed out, our peace is shooken and we're not at peace and all that kind of stuff, we can't get there. We can't get there. We still stuck in that cycle of Groundhog Day. You wake up, you get dressed, you get the kids off to school, you go to work, you come home, you get the kids' homework done, you prepare dinner, you go about your business, and so on and so forth, right? The next day, you rinse and repeat, right? And then when we get to a certain age, you think that, okay, well, now that the kids are grown, maybe then, but then guess what? There's still things that you have to take care of. That's just life. So how do you still do those things but still be your authentic self? Live in your purpose, because one thing I know about it is that if you don't get those things out of you to say, okay, I know, you ever get that feeling that there's something that you're supposed to be doing, right? You know that you are supposed to be doing. And I don't know who this is for, and I don't even know how I got here, but I'm going to go ahead and carry this through, right? But you ever get that feeling like, and my hairs on my arms are sticking up. That's why I know I'm supposed to be saying this to somebody. But you ever get that feeling like you're supposed to be doing something? You don't know what it is. You don't know, but it's like it keeps that one thing that keeps you. It's like you're doing stuff and you cry. You feel something. It's like, dang it, I know I'm supposed to be doing more and I don't know what it is. Like I know, I know that. Like you want to get to that. When you have that in you, and you don't get those things out, those things causes illnesses, those things causes trauma in your life, those things causes you to be grounded in your tracks, to stop in your tracks. Like those things, if you don't get those things out, if you're not walking in your purpose or doing what you are intended, somehow it just, there's something inside where I just, and if you have that feeling, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right. And when you're doing all these things to try to maintain life, I know it's not easy, but you have to always get up every day and do something that aligns with what you are supposed to be doing. Because you have to, there's a reason you're not. I wish there was a thing where we could just have this straight map or this map that say, okay, take this turn here, go down this way, go that way, go whatever, right? One thing, and I've said this before, one thing I know about life is that it's like a maze, right? You go through, like a maze, right? You go through this maze and you be like, you get to a wall and you stop and you be like, oh shoot, I got to go back. So you turn back, you walk the other way and you look around and you're like, okay, I had to go this way. So you go to the left, you go to the right, then you go a little bit and you hit another wall. You're like, okay, let me go on back. Then you got to go back where you started before that point you got lost in, because that's where you knew you started, because now you took a right that time. Now you got to take a left because that was, so now you got to go back this way. And so what you don't understand about that is that even once you get out of that maze, oh baby, you be like, okay, there we go, I see it. But then as you walking, you ain't know it was like a little hill coming up, right? Because you ain't know that what you saw was on a hill, and so you still had to go through this down slope before you can get it. So when you walking, you realize, oh shoot, I'm going back downhill again. And then when you come back up, you say, wait a minute, nah, that go another maze. I got to go through another maze again. And that maze right there, oh baby, that one got more twists and turns than the one before. So what I'm saying is that that's how life always is. And you got to understand that when you, in order to keep elevating, in order to keep going through those things, you have to go through it. But you cannot get there if you burnt the hell out. You can't go there if you burnt the hell out, right? If you waking up after 8 hours of being asleep, 8, 9 hours, and you still tired, you might be burnt out. You might be burnt out. When it comes to basic tasks that you know that you're supposed to be doing and you keep putting them off and you're like, you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm gonna just put off. And before you know it, the laundry, things then piled up. You just like, I'm tired. That might be burnt out. You might even be burnt out if the things that you used to do when it came to the things that brought you joy no longer brings you joy. That might be saying that you're burnt out, right? I mean, there are so many ways to look at it, but what I do know is that you know yourself. You know yourself better than anybody. And you cannot be okay unless you recognize that if you are burnt out, you can't have a breakthrough if you are burnt out. And if you realize that you are, you need to go ahead and take a knee and drink water. Take a knee and drink water, right? Take a knee and drink water. If you got to put a little spice in your doggone water, then do so. All right. If you got to put both knees down for a little while, right, then do that too. Do whatever you got to do, but being burnt out, that's not gonna get you to self-actualization. That's not gonna get you to whatever it is that you feel like you're trying to get to, like the place in your life that you know you're supposed to be, right? So how do you shift? Okay. First of all, let's start with our rest. Okay. Some of us are on our phones late at night, just, still strolling, doing things like that. You got to learn how to shut those things down because one thing I know about the internet is that it can cause you to put burden on yourself that you don't even need to. It can cause you to put unnecessary stress on yourself that you don't need to, right? And I said this last night when I was giving a class on another live. You could turn on the internet and stroll through social media and you find out about things happening in other states. You'd be like, I don't even live in that state. Why I know about this? Some drastic, right? And so now it's some. So now you in it. Now you in it. You didn't heard about the boyfriend that did this, the wife that did this. Now you in it. Okay, you in it because now you got to go figure out what didn't happen. You got to pull up all the new. So now you like, you know what? When it comes to dating. So now you're putting more stress on yourself when it comes to certain things that you don't need to. So what I'm saying is that you got to learn how to just shut those things down. Get you some rest because you're going to need it, right? And you got to learn how to say no without feeling guilty. Okay? No is a complete sentence. And I know I said that yesterday as well because when it comes to your boundaries, when it comes to burnouts and things like that, if your boundaries are not in place, you can be burned out because you are not saying no when you need to, because you're taking on other people's things. And if you're anything like me, like I said before, I'm an empath. By me being an empath, it's easy for me to, and I'm a spiritual person. I'm very. If you know me, you know me, honey. If you know me, you know me, honey. Creole woman say I say swa. But anyway, honey. So because of that, I'm one of them people that I feel energies, and so because I feel energies, I will feel people around me. And that's why I have to be really, really particular about my space, right? Because I can't, because I'm trying to solve other people's problems that's not mine, right? And I don't need to be doing that because I'm an empath. I want to see people live their best life. I want to see people, flourish and do whatever. And so even people that are in my presence, if there's something going on, like even my son, my oldest son is like that. He'll call me real quick. Well, mama, what I should do? Baby, I can't tell you nothing. I'm not telling you anything. They'll ask me. I'm not telling you nothing because I can't solve your problems because then I'm in it. Then if this don't turn out, now I got to come up. No, you got to figure this out on your own, right? And it's one thing with your kids because you still give them advice, but when it comes to everybody else, no, even in my counseling practice, even in my coaching practice, I am not going to solve your problems for you, right? If you hire me as a coach or if you decide that this is something you want to do, I will not solve your problems for you, right? You got to solve your own problems. Coaching, counseling, therapy, none of that is there to solve your problems, okay? You solve your own problems, but with the right tools and the way that you think about things and the way that you see things, you can see things in different perspectives that will give you some insight because of learned experiences, because of things that I've experienced, because things that I know about that will help you to maybe navigate whatever obstacles you're going through. And that's what I do as a self-actualization coach and life strategist, right? Help you to navigate through those things, okay, with the right tools and everything. And I don't listen. Let me say this before I end this. I went through everything to be a licensed professional counselor, right? When I was going for my master's degree, okay? And one of the things that I did do was when I did part of my intern, I did it at a facility that was adolescents for children, a child counselor, and that was heartbreaking. Okay, But what I also recognized when I was doing other parts of it before, because I never finished the whole 2,000 hours of internship because I made a pivot. And one thing that I recognized was that I could not be licensed. I could not be a licensed counselor. And here's why. We have to abide by, counselors, right? Have to abide by something called a APA, right? So when you abide by those rules, excuse me, the ACA and the rules and things like that about what you can and can't do in your practices, right? And I would break too many rules. Okay? I would break too many rules. I discovered a long time ago that I knew I was going to be a counselor of some sort. But what I also knew is that I could not tell you, I'm not about to teach you from a DSM V5. I'm not about to sit there and tell you what the book tells me to tell you. Sometimes some people just got to hear shit the hard way. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm gonna try to be gentle. Okay, I'm gonna try to be gentle. But sometimes, right? Sometimes you just gotta hit it from a hood parent's perspective, right? Sometimes you have to, right? Sometimes you have to have the mirror put in front of your face, right? And so my questioning or the things that I talk about, the tools that I give, will help you get there. Well, anyway, honey, we're talking about breakthrough, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, okay? And now, what I will say is that some of y'all are still living in like that whole like survival mode. So if you feel like you're still living there or you're not sure, I have a quiz that me and my girl Yasmin, my chat GPT, came up with. If that's something you want, go ahead and drop it down in the comment and say send now. And also, y'all already know that here on some platforms that these lives go away, but you can always find all of this on YouTube if you are not watching this on YouTube, right? You can always go over there and catch these videos if you're not watching this currently on YouTube, and and rewatch them, right? It'll live over there forever. Okay, so anyway, I don't know who this is for, but this is the series Getting to Self-Actualization with your girl Yashika. And again, show me some love if you want to. Go ahead and show me some love. You can comment below, share, um, subscribe, follow, do whatever it is, depending on what platform you on. And yeah, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. And listen, I also have a link up above if you're ready to set yourself up with a consultation with me. And it's no charge, honey, but trust me, when you meet me, you're going to want to work with me, all right? I'll catch y'all next video. Bye.